on today's DCU Daily, we're going to be talking about Jason Momoa. So we've got this new Aquaman movie that's coming out soon. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the second movie in that series. It's also the last movie in the old DCEU. And of course, Jason Momoa is the lead character of Aquaman. He's sort of redefined that character. They've even started to draw Aquaman in the spirit of Jason Momoa's version in the comics, because historically speaking, Aquaman was just like, he was the butt of jokes. The way he was drawn, he was like not the most. Most people didn't take Aquaman as a character seriously up until the newest DCEU iteration. So now it looks like in the new DCU under James Gunn, Jason Momoa might be taking on a different role. Now, this isn't confirmed. This is not official. James Gunn hasn't said this officially. We haven't got an official announcement from DC Studios or Warner Brothers, but there have been hints. Like Jason Momoa came out of a meeting with Warner Brothers earlier this year. I think it was late last year. It was some point, within the last 12 months that he was super excited. He was like, I'm working on something crazy, awesome that's coming up. It's secret. I can't let you know about this right now, but I can't wait to share with you the news when the time comes. And people were speculating what that was. Was it just the fact that he was the face of Shark Week this year? Or was it the fact that he was going to, be cast as Lobo? We don't know for sure. But recently on what looks to be the Hot Mic podcast, and Jeff Sneider, who is a well-known insider, scooper, or whatever you want to call him in Hollywood, and he tends to get a lot of his, not everything right, but he gets a lot of it right in terms of comic book news. He recently confirmed, basically saying that, look, it's done. It's already done. Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo. He's going to be Lobo in the new DCU. And it's just a matter of Warner Brothers is waiting to make the announcement, not because of the SAG-AFTRA strike. They're waiting to make that announcement until this new Aquaman movie runs its course. So that way, a movie that's already got a bit of a lame duck status, considering we know that everything is getting rebooted after this, they don't want to further undermine it by saying its lead is going to be playing a different character in a couple of years. Or, I don't know when the first appearance of that Lobo character would be, because traditionally Lobo has been like a Superman villain in the comics. And we know there's a Superman Legacy movie coming out in 2025 being directed by James Gunn. So if they were to cast Jason Momoa in that role, would we see him in that first Superman movie, or would they wait to kind of bring him in separately, whether it's in his own movie, like he had his own comic book series in the 90s, or maybe he's going to come into like a Superman sequel? But Angelina, what do you think about this? Like the fact that he's going from playing like this Justice League character to playing a villain in the new DC continuity.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I really do not like recasts like that. Just like I feel like if you're going to recast someone, they're done, they're gone, peace out. Why are you continuing to cycle through talent and try to make us see him in a different way just years? Or, we don't even know the timeline. I feel like I even sort of had an issue with it with Chris Evans from Fantastic Four going to Captain America. Nobody seemed to remember that he had played in the Fantastic Four, but at least there had been like 10 years of space in between then. We've been waiting on the Aquaman movie for 3 years, which was originally held up by COVID and then Amber Heard and now the strike. So we've been waiting on this movie for like 3 years.
Yeah, the first one came out in 2018. I think the sequel was originally dated for 2020, if I'm correct.
2023, and I don't think we're getting it for a few more months. So it's just a little iffy to me, and now they want to just totally recast him. Like, just get a new actor. Get a new one. You did it with Superman. Like, I don't, for me, there's something, I can't fully wipe the slate there when I can remember that character playing someone else. You know what I mean? Like, within the same universe. Now, if he went to Marvel, it'd be something different.
I get it, like, because that would be a very short period of time to have passed between the newest Aquaman movie to him playing Lobo. Now, the one thing that potentially could work in his favor is the fact that, unlike Chris Evans playing the Human Torch and Captain America, you don't, like, as Lobo, he's gonna be like in some sort of face paint, some kind of prosthetic makeup, maybe even. And so he's not really going to look like Jason Momoa per se. You may watch something with Lobo in it, and you may know just by his appearance, okay, maybe that's Jason Momoa behind it all, but it won't be quite the same as seeing Chris Evans in that Fantastic Four costume and then the Captain America costume.
Maybe it'll kind of go back to like what he was in Game of Thrones, but everything I've seen Jason Momoa in since Game of Thrones, he plays himself basically. So
Yeah, that's true. Although even before then, I would say like I first discovered him in Stargate Atlantis years ago, and
okay,
he
I
was in
never
like
saw that, so I
he
don't.
was really young. This is like late 2000s. He was
Yeah,
in
I
like
know he's been
four
acting since he
seasons.
was like 16.
So, but even then, like his character was very much in line with his natural personality of
Yeah,
this like freewheeling and like just like this cool bohemian dude like who's just wants to have fun. Like he's got that childlike energy that he brings to every moment. So, and even like in Fast X, like this year in the Fast and Furious franchise, like he was basically playing
playing himself.
a
Yeah,
hyper a
and
violent
so
fictionalized version of himself.
while I think it would be fun to see him play the villain, because in a way he started out kind of like almost playing the villain in Game of Thrones, right? In Daenerys' story. And obviously he evolves, but there's a limit to his character there. So like he kind of got stuck in the confines of the character. There wasn't, he had to just like play it out.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like Aquaman, he made like the dude bro, you know what I mean? Like the cool like dude bro.
Right. Yeah, the
So
way it was directed,
with
especially
the
the trailer
villain,
for the new one.
if he
Yeah.
continues if he continues in that line of like trying to make these, I don't know, he's just like too relatable in a way, like too
I
friendly,
get
too jovial.
yeah.
Like I'm just like the casting even seems weird.
Well, it also depends on what version of like the character they're gonna go for. Although I have a pretty good
True.
feeling they're most likely not going for like the the orange leotard and purple costume. Like
Yeah.
not like the
And
I think they're probably
you know,
going for like the
recent
darker 90s
drawings, if you
version.
literally type in Lobo DC Comics, it looks a lot like Jason Momoa, which
It
is
does, right?
really weird.
He's
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I see it, but still, like, why didn't we think about this before? I just feel
it,
like DC is constantly like circling the drain, like turning over turning over too quickly. Does that make sense? So there's no time for like mental resets. It's just constantly this like, no, he's playing this character. 3 years later, he's playing this character. Oh, we don't like this Superman. We're gonna get a new Superman. Oh, we don't like this Batman. We're gonna try 3 more Batman. Like, come on. Like, there just doesn't
there
seem to ever be any like forethought or real like planning involved. And I'm getting kind of sick of it.
I get that. I definitely get that. I mean, part of the reason why they're rebooting the whole DCEU is so that they can have a fresh start. And as part of the fresh start, I think
Again.
but the thing is, this is the confusing part is like, yes, they're recasting a lot of roles like Superman and Batman and I'm sure others too. But and there's probably others that we haven't got confirmation on. Like we don't know who Wonder Woman's gonna be. Warner Brothers seems to think that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is done. Some of the insiders had like commented in some Variety articles, kind of disputing her comments about a Wonder Woman 3 happening still, but we don't know yet officially. We also don't know that for sure about Aquaman with Jason Momoa. He said publicly that he will always be Aquaman, but he may play other characters in the future, which is about as vague a statement as you can imagine. And then James Gunn has also said that nobody's going to play two characters at once, which makes complete sense. Unless we have seen like Sean Gunn, I think, who's James Gunn's brother. He's going to be voicing multiple characters in the new Creature Commando show, but both of those characters, like in live action, are basically all CGI. So that's something different, like where you're not really putting your own face to the character.
Well, there are a lot of voice actors that play so many different characters, and
multiple characters in the same.
Never.
Yeah. That's totally normal. But like in this case, there is confusion. There is a lot of, and then also the fact that Amanda Waller is going to continue to be played by Viola Davis. John Cena is going to continue to play Peacemaker, and then we are also going to get Jolo Maridueña continuing to play Blue Beetle in the new continuity from the old DCEU. That's something which then let people to say, okay, so well, they get to come over, but what about those other people? Like, there's a lot of questions being asked, and like this whole Lobo thing is still very much in the air. If you go by what Jeff Sneider says, then it's confirmed. They're just waiting to announce it. But of course, the studio and James Gunn, who's like the person in charge over there, has not said anything about
that. I feel like aren't necessarily helping DC fans' morale. Like, it's these kind of
Yeah.
leaks. Like, I don't even want to go see Aquaman 2 now, because why am I going to invest in a character that 2 years from now
And
is not going to exist? Like, it just, they keep sort of
yeah,
screwing the old DCU, and I don't necessarily know if it's helping the new DCEU. So,
it's definitely creating some confusion and maybe adding some baggage to it. But
yeah.
because the thing is, even if they're not making an official announcement, there's still all the speculation. There are people like Jeff Sneider saying, "Oh, it's already done." Then Jason Momoa and James Gunn have made these public statements that are only kind of adding to the vagaries of the whole thing. But like Lobo as a character, I think just to kind of quickly talk about the character itself, it was sort of like the way they sort of rebooted the character in the 90s to kind of be an answer to the Punisher and the Wolverine in Marvel land, like this more edgy, muscular, over the top, almost immortal character that could kind of take on and beat Superman without even using kryptonite. And he's from this like planet called Zarnia, which is like this alien planet, and that's part of the reason why he's got like super speed and he's like got super strength, and he's basically immortal because he can regenerate, which is like what the Wolverine and Deadpool do. So there's just a lot of attributes to this character that make him like more than just maybe like a jobber villain who shows up in one Superman movie and that's it. And like there was a live action iteration played by Emmett J. Scanlon
Yeah.
who's been in a bunch of other stuff like Peaky Blinders and such. He played a version of Lobo in the live action Krypton series on Sci-Fi, and even though he was only in like this 4 episode arc, Sci-Fi wanted to spin him off into his own TV show. But then when they canceled Krypton after season 2, that never happened. And then since 2009, Warner Brothers had at some stage of development or another, a movie, like a solo movie, live action movie for Lobo that never happened. At one point, Brad Payne was supposed to direct it, and Dwayne the Rock Johnson was going to be Lobo. And then at other points they had like Guy Ritchie and Jason Fuchs and even Michael Bay attached as directors to
Yeah.
a potential
Wow.
Lobo movie. Like, can you imagine a Michael Bay directed Lobo movie? That would be quite something.
I
Or
did
like The
finally
Rock
watch
playing Lobo.
Bumblebee, by the way. I watched it on
Yeah,
the plane. It was great. It was a good movie. Yeah.
it was a good movie. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
Travis Knight directed it, which was like the first non-Michael Bay directed live action
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was good.
Transformers
I
movie.
liked it.
I will say though, as far as Lobo goes, the character has a lot of potential. Given the fact that he's already kind of had his own solo comic book run, like I can imagine they wouldn't cast Jason Momoa just to be a one-off, especially considering that he has been, Aquaman, like a major, like a top tier character in the DC world. So regardless of whether he's going to be Lobo or not, regardless of when we're going to make this official or not, I certainly hope that, if he does get cast in the role, that we'll get to see him soon and then often, because I personally want to see it. But I totally get from where you're coming from that it's maybe too soon and it may create some confusion because people are like, wait, what is in the Aquaman a couple of years ago? Because not everybody is doing all this research and keeping up with these articles. They might just go to theaters to watch Aquaman this year, and then a couple of years from now see the same actor playing a different character and wonder if all of these pieces connect in some way or if they don't. So yeah, from the average person's point of view, it could be confusing. Speaking of which, guys, if you're watching this, are you somebody who's keeping up with all of these developments? And are you excited to see Jason Momoa potentially taking on the role of Lobo? What do you think about the report from Jeff Sneider? Is this something to be believed, or is it still a little bit of speculation? Warner Brothers and DC Studios and James Gunn, they have not confirmed it yet. But let us know in the comments below, what do you think about this? And are you looking forward to potentially seeing Jason Momoa as Lobo in the new DCU? And of course, check back here for more DC news like this each and every day on DCU Daily. We talk about all things DC, and we're here basically every day.